Hello everyone. Today we have a very interesting topic. We will talk about walking, about how to walk correctly, and perhaps, if you have made any mistakes in your walking, how to correct them. And for this, I invited a terrific specialist in walking recovery. Maxim is a rehabilitation specialist who often deals with the recovery of walking after various injuries and surgeries. Hello, Max.
Good day.
I understand that walking, seemingly such a simple thing that we all can do, would seem to us self-evident, is actually a very complex process.
Yes, undoubtedly walking is like an organ that has many strings. And some muscles must be stabilizers. Some work actively, some work at the moment of relaxation. That is, the whole body is active. Yes, absolutely correct. And the gait consists, not surprisingly, of 8 phases. And let's talk more about these phases. Normally, we have 8 phases of gait: initial contact, load response, mid-stance, terminal stance, pre-swing, initial swing, mid-swing, and terminal swing. Maxim, why do they distinguish so many of these phases? What is it for? Firstly, in each phase, a certain leading component is at work. Somewhere it might be the knee, somewhere the ankle. And specialists divide this into different phases in order to understand when a person comes with knee pain. Which phase do we emphasize more? And again, we have support phases and transfer phases.
Yes, this is essentially for diagnosing disorders?
Yes, of course.
For diagnosing disorders. Give it to me, I'll check the animation we have. Remember, it's a good animation on this topic.
Normally we have 8 phases. And on these pictures we will see that in each phase there should be a certain degree according to the amplitude and the activation of a certain group of muscles so that the entire structure works organically. And again, we see here that in the support phase our gluteal muscles work more, in the transfer phase our knee muscles work more.
That is, just like that, let's say different muscle groups should be activated correctly according to the change. The process is complex, requiring powerful muscle coordination, strength, and joint amplitude. How often does this gait fail? How does it happen that people start walking incorrectly? Do these phases change somehow, or what happens?
Well, one of the reasons why gait can be disrupted is pain. Pain restricts the amplitude of joint movement. And where is the pain? And the pain? When discussing walking, pain can occur in various parts of the lower extremities, such as the big toe, foot, or knee. What makes us limp? Yes, it turns out. Absolutely right. And this limp, it prevents us from functioning properly, and we start to avoid it. The correct walking pattern?
I understand that if you limp like this for a long time, the wrong sequence of walking gets recorded in your head.
Here, yes, indeed. We sometimes have motor control, memory, how to walk correctly can change. But also because the joints have been working incorrectly for a long time, a limitation of mobility is formed, and thus the patient, even thinking about how to walk correctly, he can't do it until his joint mobility is increased.
I wanted to ask another question. See, walking is a skill that a person learns. He is not born with the ability to walk. And I know that there are such problems. When a child is at the stage when he should be learning to walk in childhood, he may get sick or have some problems. Have you seen walking disorders that come from childhood?
Well, from childhood. If we're talking about orthopedic movements, there could be congenital changes in the sacroiliac joint. The patient may have a neurological deficit, such as CP, muscle tone, and so on. And in most cases, gait problems carried over from childhood. We can't significantly change them here, but we can teach a person how to avoid overloading these muscles to prevent painful moments.
So I'm the kind of person that when we walk, all our joints are properly mobilized, the musculature works correctly. And if somehow the gait is disrupted, there can be some problems in the body, which in general develop against the background of the correct ones.
Yes, absolutely right. If a person walks incorrectly for a long time or has not properly recovered after a sustained injury, we understand that we have certain angles at each phase. If it doesn't bend or unbend somewhere, then the neighboring region can overwork. People often come to us with lower back pain and they don't think that Because they have a limitation of the lumbar spine and have problems with walking, they have an overload of the lumbar. And in the end, it's very important to watch out for what is the norm of walking. Again, we understand that conditionally each plus and minus has its own norm, but there are certain frames that should not be crossed.
That is, it's possible. It may be such that as you come out, as you get used to, everything seems fine, but in reality you want it wrong.
It often happens there, I think, and you, as a running specialist, you often encounter this. The fact that people choose their shoes incorrectly, the biomechanics of the foot work incorrectly, and the whole chain suffers. Same here when we deal with walking. If a person performs an act incorrectly, then his, let's say, whole body may break down over time and the patient may not understand why his chest hurts. Everything appears fine. I was simply walking down the street.
Look, what I usually encounter happens very often in my practice. For example, people with such a heavy gait, when a person is walking and you can hear how he drives each step straight into the floor. Yes, or some people may have a short stride or walk very frequently. Well, at least in my practice, there are patients who walk very tensely and their body does not go against the flow. There is some kind of set, let's say, of test, how to understand. Yes, quickly test your gait. How to understand, do you walk correctly or do you have some kind of violation?
Well, the first thing I would start with is I would record myself on the phone. In the program, I can demonstrate later how to go from point A to point B so you can see every phase. And further, if you see changes in your gait from the norm, then you need to see a specialist and solve your problem.
Alright, let's look at how to walk correctly.
Let's go. For gait analysis, you'll need some space and you can use your mobile phone for this. And capture in slow motion how you walk. Let's look at the gait. We ask the person to walk. And what should we emphasize here? We look at the amplitude of joint movements. We also look at how much the roll from the little toe to the big toe, how much the foot placement, width and body swing. Let's say we will give a couple of examples that you can see. We will ask Vladimir to demonstrate if the patient's body is tense.
By the way, I often see such comrades who walk, they usually have their shoulders forward and the gait goes like this.
And we see that there is not enough rotation here. Here the big emphasis will be on rotation training. We will ask the person to increase mobility.
This can cause chest and spine pain.
Next, we can see that the sacroiliac joints do not bend. We will ask the patient to walk sideways to us, and we can see that the person can walk slightly on bent legs. And here there will be pain in the hip area, and the patient will complain about discomfort with the absence of the back support. Also, we can see when we ask a person to walk forward, instability of the knee joint, and the patient may walk, and we can see instability when people come to us and say, "What? I had a trauma to the anterior cruciate, and yet I do not experience discomfort while walking." You can take one of the life hacks, ask a person to walk towards you and count some numbers. Let's say 100 minus 7, we'll ask 100 minus 7.
93.
And when a person starts to deviate from his gait, you can see instability in the knee joint, which tells us that we need to see a specialist.
So to continue, we have several main gait disorders. The first one is a change in step length when a person lacks the back face of the step and a stiff thigh. The second is a disturbance in the rolling and pushing off of the foot when there is no good heel and toe contact and there is a dragging of the foot. This is the instability of the knee joint during the support phase and the fixation of the thoracic spine. Maxim, can we select exercises that can correct these problems if our viewers see this in their walk?
Yes, when you have taken the video and analyzed your shortcomings, then you should do the exercise that we will now figure out with you. I will show the first exercise. If you have a problem with body rotation, you will need a rubber band for this. You install the rubber band behind the object. The height of the rubber band is slightly below your lumbar joint. You stand with your back to the rubber band, make a light stretch, and your task is to step with your left foot and the right hand goes towards the thumb. Thus, you are trying to artificially create body rotation. You need to do this exercise for 30 seconds on one leg and 30 seconds on the other. And the focus of the work is on the synchronicity of the leg, arm and torso. The movement occurs around the waist. And if you found that you walk with bent knees and you lack flexibility in your hip joints, one of the good exercises would look like this. You approach a wall or a table if it allows you. You lean your hips into the table, place your hands and slowly retract your leg in the hip joint. Now you push your hips forward for 10 seconds, relax and try to move your leg back, and you do this exercise 3 times for 10 seconds each. If you notice on this video that you have a short stride and no good roll from the heel to the big toe, then one of the good exercises is to slowly roll it out using an object. Take a tennis ball, and after that you stand up to the wall and slowly create an artificial lift. Lifted the heel, lowered it, lifted the heel, lowered it, and the next moment you can put your heel down and lower your foot, put the heel down and lower the foot. An important point is that you put your foot on the heel, the roll goes through the ball of the foot to the big toe, and you slowly perform these exercises.
I understand that some people have more serious walking disorders, such as after injuries, surgeries, or lumbar spine replacement. I get it, you face this a lot.
Yes, indeed. I worked with neurology for a long time, and now I have completely moved to work in orthopedics. And I often encounter problems with walking after surgeries, such as endoprosthetics, arthroscopy, and ligament replacement. And there are some other disorders, a bit of gait, than those we discussed. There they are a bit more vividly expressed and can be seen faster. For example, let's consider the case of a man with a walking problem. When we observe his gait, we see that there is a limp if we delve deeper into the limp. We see that the man has limitations in the ankle, and after that we need to check the amplitude. We see that the man actually lacks 20 degrees of motion. After that, we need to do some mobilization techniques to increase the ankle. After we've done the work, we need to look again the walk of our man. And we see that if you competently identified the problem, competently applied the technique to solve this problem, then we will see a clear change in the walk.
That is, we get not only because of the muscles, but also because of the amplitude in the joints, such a situation occurs.
On the slides we looked at before, we saw that in each phase of the walk, certain muscles work and certain joints perform a certain amplitude.
Excellent.
We can also see when patients have lameness and, so to speak, the walk is refined, let's call it that. And here we need to analyze how well the joint is working, and the point is like when it gets stuck. That is, there are rollovers, yes, from one side to the other. And why does this happen? And here a woman has had an endoprosthesis 8 weeks after the operation, and there is a weakness of the median gluteal muscle.
So this wobbling, it's caused by the fact that the musculature is weak. Yes, have you mainly been working on her muscle recovery?
Absolutely correct.
How much can you reduce such a limp?
Everything depends on how long the patient has been limping and the reasons for this limp. If it's muscular or joint related, then we need to work on it. If we understand that it's a congenital limp, then it's unlikely we can change it.
Analyze your gait, and if you find problems, then definitely perform the exercise from our video. If you have any questions about gait or recovery after major surgeries, then we will definitely conduct a joint broadcast with Maxim in the near future, where we will answer all your questions. Good health to all.
See you soon.